If your grandfather left an old pile of iron in the back corner of a barn, do not let the scrap man touch it yet. One of those pieces may look like nothing more than a bent wrench. Another may resemble a broken wheel with teeth. A third might be hanging from a roof beam where it has not moved since Eisenhower was president. Most people see rust, weight, and a Saturday afternoon of cleaning. A collector may see a rare maker, an unusual patent, or the one missing piece needed to complete a machine that disappeared a century ago. And that difference can be worth real money. The trouble is that the valuable clues are often the first things an owner destroys. He attacks the iron with a grinder, sands away a faint number, replaces an original handle, or paints everything bright green because he thinks that is what John Deere used. By the time the tool looks new, the evidence that made it old may be gone. So before we examine the first tool, remember Walter Hale's 4 rules. Do not grind it, do not repaint it, do not throw away a loose part found beside it. And never decide what it is from appearance alone. Clean only enough loose dirt to expose letters, numbers, patent dates, and construction details. Photograph every side in daylight. Measure it. Then compare it with completed sales, museum examples, old catalogs, and collectors who know that exact category. We are going from the objects most often mistaken for junk to the pieces whose rare versions can stop an auction room cold. Somewhere in this list may be the strange chunk of iron you have stepped around for 20 years. Number 12. The implement wrench. Start with the least impressive object in the whole barn. A flat cast iron wrench with 1 or 2 crude openings and no moving parts. It may be short enough to fit in a coat pocket. It may have a number on one side and a name so faint that rust has nearly swallowed it. To an untrained eye, it is worse than a modern wrench. It will not adjust, it fits only 1 or 2 sizes, and its handle may feel too thin for serious work. That was exactly the point. Farm machinery companies supplied special wrenches with plows, binders, cultivators, planters, and early tractors. The farmer did not need a polished set in a molded case. He needed one inexpensive tool that fitted the nuts on that particular machine. When equipment wore out, the wrench usually remained in a toolbox, nail keg, or kitchen drawer. That is why old farmsteads can contain dozens of them long after the machines are gone. Most are not fortunes. Common, heavily worn examples may trade for modest money. But collectors do not buy them merely as wrenches. They collect manufacturers, models, casting variations, logos, and the history of a particular implement. A wrench marked John Deere, Dane, Emerson, P&O, International Harvester, J.I. Case, Oliver, or an obscure regional maker can be a small iron document. The number may connect it to a specific binder or plow. 2 tools that look identical at arm's length may belong to entirely different chapters of agricultural history. Here is what to look for. First, do not stop at the famous name. Read every character. A casting number can matter more than the logo. Second, examine whether the lettering was cast with the tool or crudely stamped later. Third, study the openings. A cutout, solid head, unusual curve, or combination of square and hexagonal sockets may identify the machine it served. Finally, check for repairs and aggressive cleaning. Rounded edges and fresh grinder marks reduce the evidence collectors use to judge authenticity. If you find a nail keg full of these, do not sell them as one lot until each wrench has been photographed and identified. The common ones may indeed belong together. The scarce one may be hiding at the bottom because it looks no different from the rest. In farm tool collecting, the smallest item is sometimes carrying the largest amount of information. Number 11. The hay knife. The next object is often mistaken for a saw that has lost its wooden handle. It has a long blade, coarse teeth, and sometimes 2 grips arranged so a man could drive it down with both hands. Other versions curve like a weapon from a medieval wall. This is a hay knife, and it solved a problem modern farmers rarely encounter in the same form. Loose hay packed tightly in a mow does not separate politely. After months under its own weight, the mass can become dense, tangled, and warm. A farmer needed to cut a vertical section before pulling feed away. The hay knife sliced through that compressed wall. Its shape tells you how physical the job was. Long stroke, serious leverage, and teeth made for fibrous material rather than lumber. Common hay knives survive, and many are bought as rustic decoration. That keeps ordinary prices grounded. Yet unusual patented mechanisms, complete handles, crisp maker marks, and sculptural early forms can command far more interest than the flat, rusty blade leaning behind a door. Some collectors pursue specific manufacturers. Others collect the evolution from simple forged blades to factory-made toothed designs. Look first at the handle arrangement. Original turned grips, iron straps, and undisturbed fasteners are better evidence than shiny replacement wood. Then inspect the heel and spine for a maker's stamp. Do not wire wheel the blade before checking. A shallow stamp can disappear under enthusiastic restoration. Measure the full length and tooth pattern because collectors often identify models by proportion when a catalog picture is the only surviving reference. Be cautious with stories. A seller may call any frightening blade a whale flenser, military weapon, or rare sod cutter because those names sound expensive. Function is revealed by construction and documented comparison, not imagination. A genuine hay knife has value because it belongs to a real system of barn labor. It does not need a fictional past. Number 10. The hand corn planter. You may have seen this one hanging upside down and assumed it was a broken pair of wooden tongs. Two long handles meet near a metal beak. A small seed box sits higher on the frame. When the operator drove the point into the soil and brought the handles together, the machine opened a pocket and dropped a measured charge of seed. One motion made the hole, placed the corn, and prepared the operator for the next step. Before large mechanical planters covered multiple rows, devices like this turned planting into a repeated rhythm. Walk, jab, squeeze, lift. Walk, jab, squeeze, lift. The design seems simple until you compare several examples. Patent holders experimented with seed plates, gates, springs, depth control, and the shape of the opening point. Small differences were attempts to solve missed hills, doubled seed, clogging, and uneven ground. That is where collectability begins. A generic planter missing its box lid and internal parts may be little more than wall decor. A complete example with original stenciling, legible patent information, functional linkage, and an uncommon manufacturer can be far more desirable. Bright original paint and readable lettering are especially vulnerable because somebody trying to make the tool presentable may scrub away the very surface a collector wants. Open the seed box gently and look inside before doing anything else. Loose plates, gates, or wooden pieces may still be there. Do not discard old debris until you know it is not part of the metering system. Inspect the metal point for a patent date or casting number. Photograph the linkage from both sides. If the mechanism is frozen, do not put a pipe over the handle and force it. A century-old cast part can break in 1 second, and the replacement may not exist at any price. Number 9. The broad axe. An axe in a barn seems too ordinary to investigate. That assumption has sent many fine tools into wood piles, truck beds, and scrap bins. A broad axe is not merely a large chopping axe. Its wide cutting edge was made to hew a round log into a flat timber. Many examples have a blade ground primarily on one side, almost like an enormous chisel. The handle may sweep away from the blade so the user's knuckles clear the timber. Depending on the bevel and handle orientation, a tool may have been intended for a right-handed or left-handed hewer. That asymmetry is the clue. Someone who does not understand it may install a straight replacement handle, grind both sides equally, and erase the geometry that tells us how the tool worked. An old broad axe with a clear maker's mark, desirable regional form, original or period handle, and a sound cutting edge can interest timber framing and tool collectors. Rare makers and early hand-forged examples sit in a different market from anonymous damaged heads. Begin at the pole cheeks in the area near the eye. Blacksmiths and manufacturers placed marks in different locations. Side light often reveals letters that overhead shop lighting hides. A rubbing can be tempting, but never use a harsh method on fragile surfaces. Good photographs with angled light are safer. Look for weld lines or construction evidence that may distinguish a hand-forged body with an inserted steel bit from a later factory head. Then study the handle before calling it worthless. Age alone does not prove originality, but tool marks, wear, fit, and the absence of modern wedges can help tell its story. Even if the handle is broken, keep it with the head. It may provide the exact curve needed for an accurate conservation replacement. Do not sharpen a broad axe for sale unless you truly know historic edge geometry. A modern grinder can overheat the steel, round the profile, and turn a collectible working surface into a polished mistake. Rust should be stabilized carefully, not polished until the axe reflects your face. Number 8. The fence stretcher. Now consider the contraption with gripping jaws, a ratchet, chain, or long lever. It is often tossed out because nobody can imagine what it was meant to repair. In many cases, it is an early fence stretcher, wire gripper, or splicing tool. Barbed wire transformed the American landscape, but a fence was only useful if it stayed tight. Wire had to be pulled, held, joined, and repaired across ground that did not care whether a farmer owned the latest equipment. Manufacturers responded with an astonishing range of patented tools. Some look like pliers enlarged by a blacksmith. Some use cams that grip harder as tension increases. Some combine a stretcher, hammer, staple puller, and cutter in one awkward-looking body. Most old fencing tools are affordable. The money appears when the design is scarce, the patent is identifiable, the maker is collected, or the tool retains pieces normally lost. Patent-era ingenuity attracts collectors because the object is a mechanical argument. This inventor believed his jaw, lever, or ratchet solved the problem better than everyone else's. Search the lever, jaw, and frame for cast or stamped words. A patent date is not the manufacturing date, but it gives you a firm trail to follow. With the inventor's name, location, and date, an old patent drawing may confirm every part of the tool. That documentation can transform a nameless chunk of iron into an identifiable artifact. Do not demonstrate it on tightly tensioned wire for a video. Old grippers can release without warning, and stretched wire stores dangerous energy. Photograph the device relaxed. If it moves freely, show the travel without loading it. If it is frozen, let a conservator or experienced tool collector decide whether freeing it will help or harm. The fence stretcher rarely looks beautiful. That is why it is overlooked. But beauty is not always what a tool collector is buying. Sometimes he is buying a clever solution that existed for only a few years before another patent replaced it. Number 7. The hand crank corn sheller. This object is easier to recognize. It may have a flywheel, hand crank, cast iron teeth, and a wooden or metal body. An ear of dried corn went into the opening. The kernels separated from the cob, and two products emerged where one had entered. On a farm that handled corn by the wagon load, that was not a novelty. It was saved labor. The Smithsonian's Agricultural Collection includes a hand-cranked corn sheller dating to about 1898. but the broad category spans many makers, sizes, and mechanisms. Some were small handheld devices fixed to a box. Others were bench or floor machines with substantial gearing. Models from John Deere, International Harvester, Blackhawk, Keystone, and regional manufacturers attract different collector followings. Condition has an unusual meaning here. A little stable rust may be acceptable. Missing gears, cracked housings, broken feed throats, and absent crank handles are serious. Original stenciling or paint can be worth preserving, even when it covers only a small patch. A complete machine with a desirable maker is much easier to understand, display, and demonstrate than an anonymous shell with its working parts gone. Do not assume larger means more valuable. Size makes shipping difficult, and a huge common sheller can be harder to sell than a small, rare, patented device. At the same time, special examples can move into remarkable territory. Documented past sales of rare hand shellers have reached into the thousands, while ordinary machines may sell for a small fraction of that. The mechanism, rarity, maker, completeness, and buyer pool decide which world yours belongs to. Check the flywheel spokes for cracks, particularly around the hub. Search the frame and feed area for raised lettering. Record every number. If a wood box survives, inspect it for old stencils before cleaning. Photograph the discharge path, gears, and mounting arrangement. Collectors need to see what remains, not merely the attractive side. Number 6. The cream separator. In a dark corner you may find a tall machine with a bowl on top, a crank on the side, and 2 curved spouts. It looks part laboratory instrument and part kitchen appliance. This is a hand-cranked cream separator, the machine that used centrifugal force to divide cream from skim milk. Before reliable separation, milk could stand while cream rose slowly. A mechanical separator made the process faster and more controllable. The operator poured milk into the supply bowl and turned the crank at the correct speed. Inside, a stack of carefully shaped discs increased the separating surface. Cream exited one spout, skim milk left through the other. Names such as Delaval, International Harvester, McCormick Deering, Economy, and Sears Associated brands appear in this field. But brand is only the first question. Is the machine complete? Does it retain the bowl, float, spouts, disc stack, crank, base, and identification plate? Are those parts original to the same model? A separator missing its internal discs may look complete in a photograph while being functionally hollow. Common separators are often priced as decor, and the tall weight can suppress demand. Rare sizes, early models, exceptional original decoration, salesman samples, or complete examples with accessories can do much better. Enamel signs and beautifully lettered bowls attract people who may never intend to process milk, yet restoration can hurt. New decals and glossy paint may make a machine charming in a restaurant, while making serious collectors wonder what was hidden underneath. The loose pieces matter enormously. Separator components often ended up in cabinets because they were removed for washing. A strange stack of conical metal plates may be more important than the decorative bowl everyone notices. Reuniting those parts can turn an incomplete display into a complete machine. Number 5. The blacksmith's anvil. An anvil is almost impossible to mistake for anything else, yet it is one of the easiest tools to value badly. People see weight and assume the price is simply dollars per pound. Weight matters because a serious working anvil needs mass. But collectors and smiths also care about construction, rebound, edge condition, maker, age, size, repairs, and whether the object is a real forged or steel-faced anvil rather than a brittle cast-iron imitation. On an American farm, an anvil did not need to live in a romantic village forge. It might serve in a repair shop where a farmer straightened hardware, shaped a strap, repaired a chain, or made the small piece that prevented a larger machine from stopping. Some farms used compact anvils. Others kept substantial examples from respected makers such as Peter Wright, Haybudden, Trenton, Fisher, or Mousehole. Look for marks on the side and foot, but remember that different makers use different systems. English anvils may carry weight marks that are not a simple pound number. American examples may show names, serial numbers, or logos. Photograph these underside lighting and take accurate dimensions. Never improve a faint mark with a grinder or cold chisel. Real market values cover an enormous span. Small, damaged, or cast iron anvils may bring little. Sound, desirable, working anvils often sell for hundreds, while large, rare, well-marked, or exceptional examples can reach into four figures. The value is not imaginary. A good old anvil remains a useful tool, and new quality anvils are expensive. Collectors compete with working smiths, so the buyer is not always purchasing decoration. Never paint the face. Never weld an edge because a neighbor says he can make it look new. Never mill the top without expert advice. A bad repair can alter heat treatment and destroy both value and utility. Brush away loose dirt, document the markings, weigh it safely, and let the evidence speak. If your grandfather's anvil has been used as a doorstop for 40 years, that does not make it worthless. It may only mean nobody in the family has asked it the right questions. Number 4. The hog oiler. This may be the strangest object in the entire building. Some hog oilers resemble a low cast iron wheel. Others look like a tank balanced over rollers, a rubbing post, or a mechanical puzzle designed by someone who distrusted straight lines. Their purpose was practical. The animal rubbed against the device and applied oil or treatment to its skin, historically as part of efforts to control lice and mange. Because the forms vary so dramatically, hog oilers became a collecting field of their own. Names, cast lettering, patent details, unusual mechanisms, small sizes, and completeness can matter greatly. A common damaged oiler may sell for modest money. Better examples have sold in the hundreds, while rare designs, exceptional condition, and especially salesman samples can travel far beyond the ordinary range. This is where owners make a costly mistake. They find a little cast iron version and assume it was made for piglets. It may instead be a salesman sample, a reduced demonstration model used to show dealers or farmers how a full-size machine worked without hauling hundreds of pounds into an office or exhibition hall. Genuine samples are sought because they combine rarity, precise miniature construction, and a direct connection to old sales culture. But the words salesman sample are abused constantly. A small reproduction made for decoration is not automatically a historic sample. Look for casting quality, working details, maker documentation, consistent age, and comparison with known examples. Provenance helps. A confident story from the person selling it is not provenance. For a full-size oiler, inspect the casting for cracks and repairs. Check whether rollers, reservoirs, caps, bases, or rubbing elements are missing. Photograph the underside as well as the impressive profile. Raised letters often hide under grease and rust, so use light and patience rather than abrasive cleaning. Do not fill an old oiler with any historic chemical mixture or allow livestock to use it. Earlier treatments may not meet modern safety standards, and residue should be handled cautiously. We are identifying an artifact, not reviving every practice attached to it. Number 3, the hay trolley. Look up. The old iron hanging from the barn roof may not be a broken pulley. It may be the carrier that once moved loose hay along an overhead track. A team, rope system, fork, and trolley work together to lift hay from a wagon and carry it into the mow. When the load reached the chosen point, it released. What now seems like rusty barn ornament was once material handling machinery suspended above working men. Hay carriers appeared in many patented forms. Some rode wooden tracks capped with iron. Others used different rail arrangements, wheel sets, latches, and trip mechanisms. Companies including Loudon, Ney, Myers, Porter, and many smaller makers competed in a market where a mechanical improvement could save time at every load. Most hay trolleys are not worth thousands. Common incomplete examples can be found in the decorative market for under a few $100s, and shipping weight limits their audience. But rare carriers are a serious specialty. Collectors study patent dates, track systems, maker variations, and release mechanisms. Exceptional rarities and salesman models can produce results that sound impossible to anyone who sees only a ceiling pulley. One reported collector sale for a rare violet patent carrier reached $14,000. That is not a sensible estimate for the trolley in every barn. It is proof of how sharply rarity can distort the upper end of a specialized market. A common carrier and a scarce documented patent may share the same rust, weight, and general silhouette while living in completely different price categories. Identification begins before removal. Photograph the trolley exactly where it hangs, including its track, stops, rope routing, forks, and nearby hardware. The installation may reveal which parts belong together. Measure the track profile. Find all cast names and patent dates. If the barn is being dismantled, label each component rather than throwing brackets and trip blocks into one bucket. Removal can be dangerous. Old carriers are heavy, tracks may be unstable, and decades-old ropes cannot be trusted. Do not climb onto rotten framing or stand beneath suspended iron. Use someone qualified to work safely in the structure. No collectible is worth falling through a hayloft floor. The hay trolley teaches the central lesson of this entire video. Value is not always sitting on a shelf. Sometimes it is still installed, still doing nothing, and still waiting for somebody to recognize that the barn itself is part of the machine. Number 2. The rare hand corn sheller. We already examined the familiar crank sheller, but number 2 belongs to a more easily overlooked branch. Compact, unusual, and early hand shellers, whose designs may look like clamps, rings, boxes, or toothed castings rather than complete machines. During the 19th century, inventors produced many ways to strip kernels from a cob. Some devices attached to a box or bench, some used rotating discs, some were held in the hands. Many failed commercially, appeared in limited regions, or were replaced quickly by more efficient machines. That short life can create scarcity today. The danger is that a rare sheller may look less impressive than a common one. It may have no large flywheel, colorful stencil, or recognizable farm company logo. An owner sorting metal by size could place the valuable piece in the scrap bucket and save the common machine for decoration. Specialist past sale archives document rare handheld shellers selling for four-figure prices, including an example reported at $2,495. Again, that does not make every hand sheller a $2,000 object. It shows what can happen when a precise form is scarce, documented, complete, and desired by more than one informed buyer. To investigate a small sheller, photograph it beside a ruler from every angle. Record raised lettering and patent dates exactly, including punctuation. Search patent drawings and specialist references. Determine how it mounted and which direction the cob traveled. Look for missing springs, handles, scrapers, or clamps. A part that appears broken may actually be the designed opening. A part that looks complete may be missing the component that made the mechanism work. Do not call it rare merely because you cannot find another one in 5 minutes. Search terms may be wrong, catalogs may use a different name, and an ordinary object can seem unique when it has been misidentified. Real rarity is established by informed comparison, not by an empty search result. Still, if you find a small cast mechanism with corn motifs, unusual teeth, or a patent mark, give it time. The objects that changed farm work did not always look grand. Some were no larger than the farmer's hand. Number 1. The salesman's sample. The most dangerous words in an old garage are, "It is just a toy." A miniature plow, corn sheller, hay carrier, hog oiler, grain drill, windmill, or other farm machine may indeed be a child's toy. It may be a modern reproduction. It may be a homemade model, but it may also be a genuine salesman's sample or factory demonstration model, and those can sit at the top of the farm tool market. Before photographs, portable screens, and instant shipping, a salesman needed a way to make machinery understandable. He could carry catalogs, but a working scale model did something paper could not. It allowed the customer to see gears engage, levers trip, blades move, and material flow. A carefully made sample compressed an expensive full-size machine into an object that could travel by rail and sit on a dealer's counter. That purpose required quality. Genuine examples may use castings, fasteners, paint, decals, and functioning mechanisms that mirror the production machine. Some were made by the manufacturer. Others may have served at fairs, dealer displays, or patent demonstrations. Because relatively few were needed and many were later discarded, authentic survivors can be scarce. This is also one of the most misrepresented categories in collecting. Sellers attach the phrase to almost any miniature because it raises curiosity and price. Authentication demands more than small size. Does a full-size counterpart exist? Do the proportions and mechanisms correspond? Are the materials and fasteners consistent with the claimed period? Is there a maker's mark, catalog image, family history, shipping case, dealer tag, or chain of ownership? Does wear occur where a demonstrator would be handled, or has artificial aging been spread everywhere equally? Do not restore a possible sample before expert review. Original paint, decals, pinstriping, tiny bolts, and fitted cases can carry much of its historical and monetary value. Replacing missing pieces with modern hardware may make it operate while making authentication harder. Save every fragment, even a broken wooden crate or faded paper label. If you find one, slow the entire process down. Photograph it where it was discovered. Ask older relatives what they know without feeding them a story. Record names, businesses, towns, and dates. Search old dealer directories and manufacturer catalogs. Contact specialists in the exact machine rather than relying only on a general antique buyer. A hay carrier collector may recognize one casting that everyone else misses, and do not let the first cash offer define the object. A quick buyer may be honest and still lack the specialized market. Proper identification is not greed. It is the work required to keep a historical object from losing its name. Now step back and look at the 12 pieces together. The implement wrench taught us to read the number, not trust the color. The hay knife showed why original handles and honest function matter. The hand planter reminded us to save the loose mechanism. The broad axe carried its history in bevel and handle geometry. The fence stretcher led us into patents. The cream separator hid its value in completeness. The anvil proved that utility and collectability can meet in the same block of steel. The hog oiler showed how one strange design can become its own market. The hay trolley told us to document the entire installation. The corn shellers demonstrated the enormous gap between a common object and a rare version, and the salesman's sample showed why small does not mean insignificant. So, can 12 rusty farm tools in your garage really be worth thousands? Yes. A group containing sound marked anvils, complete machinery, scarce patented tools, or an authentic salesman sample can cross that line. A single exceptional piece may do it. But a random pile of 12 common broken tools probably will not, and anyone promising otherwise is selling excitement instead of knowledge. The real opportunity is not rust. It is information. 100 years ago, a farm tool was purchased for what it could do. Today, collectors may value what it reveals. The maker who cast it, the problem it solved, the region it served, the machine it kept alive, and the hands that modified it when replacement parts were miles away. Every mark is evidence. Every original part narrows the identity. Every documented story connects iron to a person and place. If you are sorting an old garage, make 3 areas. The first is clearly modern material and ordinary scrap. The second is identifiable working tools that may have modest resale value. The third is the uncertainty table. Anything with a maker's mark, patent date, unusual mechanism, original paint, miniature construction, or parts you cannot explain goes there. That table is where patience earns money. Use soft brushes and dry cleaning first. Avoid chemical rust removers until a specialist advises you. Photograph marks with light coming from the side. Take measurements in inches and weight in pounds for American collectors. Show damage honestly. Keep family stories labeled as family stories unless records support them. Compare the exact model with completed transactions, not a vaguely similar listing. And remember that auction results include context, location, buyer's premium, condition, and the 2 people who happen to want the object that day. If the piece seems important, obtain more than one opinion. A general auctioneer, a farm tool collector, a machinery museum, and a specialist dealer may notice different things. Do not expect free authentication from a stranger while hiding half the photographs. Clear evidence helps serious people help you. There is another kind of value here that does not appear on an auction receipt. These tools were designed in a country where a broken mechanism could stop planting, feeding, fencing, or harvest. They were repaired because throwing them away was not an option. The worn grip, filed edge, replaced rivet, or brazed crack may look imperfect, but it records a decision made under pressure. Make it work, because the weather will not wait. That is why Walter Hale never calls an old tool junk before learning its name. The scrap pile measures iron by the pound. History measures it by the story, and the collector standing between them may be willing to pay for the part everybody else failed to see. Before you clear the garage, lift each piece once more. Turn it toward the window. Find the letters beneath the dust. Follow the patent number. Ask what job required that peculiar shape. The money, if it is there, will not be announced by the amount of rust. It will be hiding in the detail that survived. And sometimes, the object everyone has stepped over for half a lifetime is the one object that should never have been on the floor at all.